And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Anytime you're talking about fundamentals in a market and direction, fundamentals take a little bit of time to play out.
We got crude oil today, kind of trading yesterday's value area really nicely, low to high.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good morning. Welcome to the Market Forecast. I'm John Hoagland. Thanks for trusting me with your time. Today is September 10th. 2001, September 10th was a Monday. I wish we could go back to the innocence that we had on that Monday. I remember where I was that day and the day after, September 11th. Never forget, never stop praying. And say a prayer tomorrow for all those who lost their lives on September 11th and in our fight against terrorism ever since. As far as economic numbers this morning, the PPI final came out. Year over year, 8.2% is what they were looking for. It came out a little worse, a little higher at 8.3%. All of the numbers came out higher than expected. Inflation is real. The U.S. stocks still set to open higher with focus on that PPI, a $3.5 trillion spending plan, and a new Dem legislation to tax stock buybacks. We'll see how that does. Some Democrats working on that legislation now. We'll see if it gets anywhere. Apparently, our president and the president of China, Xi Jinping, spoke yesterday on the telephone. Who knows if anything was accomplished there? Probably not much. Crude prices race higher overnight. $1.50, pretty decent move overnight on problems restoring Gulf output after Ida. They were saying that it probably wasn't going to be that bad, but apparently they're running into more problems than they thought. As usual, make sure you like, share, comment, question, feedback, and heckling are always welcome. I'm going to put the link in for group code or for Futures 101 today. We're going to be talking about some of the cardinal rules of trading. I see my brothers here. Hi, good morning, Rick. Thanks for the birthday wishes, and it was a very nice day. Thank you. My brother, he was on the floor for a number of years also, and he probably remembers everybody had an old trading card in their pocket that had some of the basic cardinal rules that they were going to follow as traders. We're going to talk about some of those today at 12:30 in Futures 101. That's going to be it for the week. Next week, we talk about some trading choices, some personal traits that may be beneficial or detrimental to trading, and we're going to be talking about trading psychology next week. So we're looking forward to another full week of the Futures 201 next week. But again, today, cardinal rules of trading. Looking this morning early here at the VIX, down 7%, down at 1749. So the up move in the equities taking some fear out of the marketplace. Dollar index down slightly at 92.41, and the 10-year yield up a little bit from the close yesterday at 1.32%. As always, I got to say good morning to everyone. And Brett, you win the prize again this morning. First one in the room, dead letter opener. Theo, good morning. Brian, Tone, Adrian, Juan, George, and George. Murph, Friday, day off for you. Fridays are never good. Time to take the day off. That's a good idea. Hopefully you get some good weather, do something fun. Tanya, good morning. Murph's reminded of my dad saying he could double his income if he'd only worked 3 days a week. The problem is knowing which days to take off. But Murph already knows Friday's one to take off for him. Tanya thinks about that all the time, going, well, also not trading today. It is rollover. We are switching to December today. You should be trading December. It's okay if you're not. It's all right. They're not going to break any rules, but the volume is greater in the December contract in our equities and in our currencies. If it's not yet, it will be by the end of the day. But you're fine trading either. Don't worry about that. John, Vince, Stephen Lee, my brother Rick, love you, buddy. Ryan, Jason, stacking bananas. Good morning, Zorain. And good morning, Frederico. Laura, good morning. Frederico, good morning. Justin C. Just to bug you. All right, keep bugging me. Keep bugging me. We're gonna talk to Dan and we're gonna agree to switch out one of these products and probably bring in the natural gas, as well as a lot of folks thinking about the Russell lately. So, good morning, Greg, Cameron, Keith, Andres. Good morning. Nick Enns, do you know if the Top Step dashboard ever glitches? My dashboard says I broke a rule by holding a position yesterday over inventory release, but I'm not. But my trading statement shows I did not. I didn't. Do you know if this has happened before? I'm sure that with electronic trading, with anything, there are some glitches. I would contact our support team. And they can go through your trades trade by trade and find out what the deal is on that. So certainly let our crack support team know. We have the best support in the world, so they will be happy to help you with that. All right. The Afghan disaster was bass backwards on purpose, plausible deniability. Yeah, there's lots of theories, and some of them are probably right. Trading, yes, Americans left behind. Yep, it's just a mess, no doubt about it. Trading research. Nelson, good morning. Alex, Janus, KM, Michael Saunders, good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. It's nice to see you. Yes, this is one of my favorite shirts. I tend to wear it on Fridays because it's kind of a casual day here in the office. Had a great day starting yesterday, Spencer. Good. Nick Enns. Okay, yes, you definitely let them know, and they will look into it for you. Okay. Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Ange. Biagio. Hello. And Journey Yoro, good to see you. Good to see you. Nice shirt. Yes, everybody loves this shirt. It comes from my wife works at a high school, and there was a teacher there that made a bunch of them, and my wife got one, and I said I have to have one, so she went and made a bunch more of them. So it's a great shirt. I love it. Michael took a break from trading futures, back now. Good. It's good to see you back. Sometimes it really helps to take a look away for a little while, but we're looking forward to your success, Michael. And Dr. VJ, good morning. All right, so let's get into the charts. Let's see what we've got going on here. Let me get set up correctly here. We've got crude oil looking like it's leaving the opening range at the low of the session. This could be an interesting one because, as we all know, it is also in rollover. So we're going to see if we can push some longer-term traders into perhaps getting directional today. I know that's what our traders are hoping for in the overnight session because they were very, very long. Now, this morning, looking at the bulletin, there was an error in the bulletin. I don't have any open interest information today, which makes things a little bit more blurry for me. The fundamentals have been tossing price around for 2 weeks now. I mean, this is even before rollover. We've been just kind of tossing around in this area. There's been very little longer time frame participation, even well before rollover. This is a market that is just seeking information, seeking direction. We haven't traded outside of last week's range, and we're just still range bound. This could change today. We had a $2 range over 2 weeks, short time frame controlled, but we're up against the upper extreme of this area of balance, and we are really coming into the teeth of rollover now. So it's going to be difficult to bring in more directional traders. What I'm talking about here is the 30-minute chart here. Look at where settlement is here. The overnight started somewhere down here. It has been all buyers in short time frame all night long. What they are looking for is help from longer time frame traders. I can pretty much confidently say that our opening range is the low of the regular trading hour session. That indicates that buyers are continuing to come in, and potentially longer time frame buyers. All of our short-term overnight longs are happy right now. They're partying. They're saying, this is great. This thing's going to go to the moon. What they are counting on is new business coming up to take up, to move this market above, basically, almost our weekly range. Okay, here's last week's high. Here's this week's high. But we've been struggling at this level for quite some time, and that's where we are. So we have to be careful, because we know we've got a big community of short time frame longs in this market that are currently very pleased with what's going on. If the longer time frame, if the new business to the upside stops or ceases to exist, we're going to end up going sideways for a while. And if that happens, that may incite some of our weaker hands longs. These longs aren't going to be holding positions over the weekend. All of these longs might at some point start to get out, and they tend to get out en masse. So when we talk about overnight inventory, our overnight inventory in crude oil is very long right now. We're up against an area that has been resistant for the better part of the week. This looks like an interesting spot here. It looks like there might be some fish. Typically, when the opening range is the low of the regular trading hours session, I'm thinking long only, because we've seen buyers come in right off the open. They've pushed price higher, pretty decent upside trade. But remember where we are. We're in rollover. We're in a range-bound type of situation. And while I don't want to step in front of this move to the upside, I'm well aware that a lot of my competitors, a lot of other short time frame traders are holding longs, looking for this to continue. If it ceases to continue, we might see that push back down towards settlement. Looking like there may be some fish up here. If we continue, the fish are to the long side. If we cannot accept above this zone right here, just kind of, this was the point of control from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So Monday, this is last week's high. So this is this week's high where we're at right now. Just had to measure that out. I apologize. But yeah, this is this week's high. This is an important area. This is an area to look for an opportunity at the extremes. When we're range bound, we're always looking to really focus on the extremes. Anything in the middle is a more random opportunity. I'm kind of hanging on the crude oil today because I want to see how this market responds to our weekly high here. This is last week's high. This is this week's high. We are at it on Friday. Long overnight inventory. Even if you're not going to participate, this is a study in how markets work for everybody today. If you're not going to be trading crude oil, watch and see how this day plays out. We've got very long overnight, short, weaker hands longs against the high of the week. There's probably some fish up here. All right, I'm going to move on. I'll stop yammering about crude oil. All right. My shirt should say behave. Yes, of course. Leave it to my brother. You can pick your friends, but you can't pick family. All right. E-mini S&Ps, 3 down days in an uptrend. Typically, those are going to be upside days. We're already seeing it in the overnight session. We don't have any open interest information. Hey, this is supposed to be Dece. I rolled forward already. All right, so here we are. There was a 9-point discount from September to Dece. So we've got 45.61 weekly kickoff high, 44.21 weekly kickoff low. We're right in the middle of it. We've been experiencing a little bit of a pullback. Again, 3 down days in an uptrend. Typically, that last down day is an up day. Switch day, still in rollover. Seems as though we are creating we had a kind of a balance area here last week. We kind of left that balance area, and we seem to be trying to establish a new area of balance down here. Last week's low is going to be pivotal for us today during the regular trading hours session. Take a look at the 30-minute chart. All right. So this seems to be the area of balance that we're trying to create now. This area of balance, this one actually trading a little bit lower. We see value moving lower. We've seen lower highs, lower lows. Yesterday we put in a higher high and a higher low. So what does that mean? Well, focusing on just the information from last night. Settlement is down here. Settlement is 44.83 even. All of our overnight activity has been driving to the upside. So we know that we've got some overnight short time frame, weaker hands, longs in this market. We're still in range and in value. There was a double distribution yesterday that left a very deep low volume node here. If we open inside this this high volume node and the point of control, this high volume node, we may fall into some kind of repair. So if we can't accept above this high volume node after the open and perhaps even above value high, that may be enough to scare some of our weaker hands longs that we know are in this market from overnight to push price lower. We can take advantage of that move to the downside, and if we are of the hypothesis that we want to buy weakness, it may keep us holding off a little bit to look to see if we get this inventory adjustment so we can look for opportunities to buy on weaknesses at lower levels. Juan, if the September still has more volume right now, look at the Dece. It's probably a little bit behind, but by the end of the day, there will be more in the December contract. Whichever you choose to trade today is fine, Juan. There's no rule violation. So if you haven't switched to Dece, it's okay to continue to trade the September in the equities and in the currencies. You're just going to get a little bit less liquidity throughout the day in the September contract and more liquidity throughout the day in the December contract. Okay, so you don't have to, there's no rule violation if you haven't switched yet. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at the Nasdaq now. I think I'm done yammering about the S&Ps. Okay. The Nasdaq has been holding up better. It's one single area of balance up here instead of trying to create a lower area of balance like the S&Ps. So the rollover range is still intact, and it's still very clear as to where the extremes are. We're in the middle of it right now. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to find good opportunities today. But when we look at the 30-minute chart again here in the Nasdaq, we have a very similar situation. All three of the markets we've looked at so far have very long overnight inventories. We're going to go back and look at crude here in a second to see how that's going. But the settlement is down here. The market opens down here. We have buyers all night long pushing price higher. We know that they're probably weaker hands, short time frame traders not holding positions over the weekend. So they're just looking for help. They are looking for new business, new buying to come in during the regular trading hours and continue to push price higher. As soon as they sense that that's not going to happen, they start to get out, and they start to get out en masse. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out for us today. Nobody can predict if and when it is going to happen. But just by looking at the activity in the overnight, we can assume that some of our direct competitors are holding longs and looking for continuation. Again, we're in range, in value, overnight longs. Try and stay patient. Gold. We've got a mess here. It's just been very difficult for me to read, difficult for me to find good day time frame opportunities in gold lately. You know, we had a bull flag that broke out, a bull flag that broke out, a bull flag that broke out and failed back to this trend line. Now we're, you know, perhaps wrestling with the upper trend line of the failed bull flag. You know, these trend lines, you know, this one certainly has some legs to it. The other trend lines, you know, they're up there, they're relatively loose, but they seem somehow valid. You know, we've got last week's range low in range for us to be testing today, and I'm going to look at that range at last week's range low as a potential breakout if we can accept above it. So far, we have not had that success. We're still, if you remember, the trend lines, the zone that we've been looking at between 1807 and 1809, which had been supportive, now is acting as resistance. The 30-minute chart shows no overnight inventory with which to work with, which says, you know, I'm going to try and stay patient today. I'm going to look for better trade locations as the day goes on. Extremes. Our overnight high looks up against that resistance zone. If we get that opportunity, there may be some fish up there. Our lows here might be interesting because we've seen some rejection. We've got excess on those lows. If the buyers are still remain in that area, there might be some fish down here. Inside range and value, I don't see any fish. So I'm going to try and stay real patient. Initially, the opening range was the high of the session. When the PPI numbers came out, we had a knee jerk to the upside and then right back to the downside. You know, we've got a point of control, which is a visual for potential profit targets if you are holding shorts. But again, I'm going to try and stay real patient today because we're in range, we're in value. There's no real change in the perception of the value of an ounce of gold right here. So again, I'm going to be focusing on the extremes. This would be a real sweet opportunity up here, even if it's a loss. I like it because it allows me to limit my risk. I don't have to risk a lot to find out I'm wrong. Those are the trades I'm looking for. Asymmetric opportunities, small risk for bigger rewards. On to the euro. Okay, we are in Dece now. Dece. All right, these are all Dece. I'm good there. We've adapted the weekly kickoff levels. Weekly kickoff low 1838, high 1940. I've moved them. Their weekly kickoff low continues to provide a degree of support. The more we get back down there and keep testing that level, the less likely it is probably to hold. Think of it as a whole bunch of buyers down here that every time the market comes down here, they buy it, and if they run out of opportunity, if they run out of buying orders, then we may see the failure and the continuation to the downside. But again, we may be kind of setting up, what do we have? Perhaps a bull flag. Direction coming up to it, narrow ranges on the way down. We've got a medium time frame, I would call this, move to the upside. We've got 3 down days on an up move. Yesterday was an up day, barely. What are we going to do today? All right, take a look at the 30. No real overnight inventory. Short time frame upside structure remains. If I'm looking to buy weaknesses, I want to try and buy anywhere near the bottoms of these candle bodies here. Value low might be interesting. But again, we are in range and in value. We opened outside of it, drove back into it. A move down to the low value from yesterday is highly likely. So if I'm going to be looking for opportunities to buy, I would be looking for anything below value where I can limit risk. Remember, we're all about limiting risk here. The 10-year. This may be the last time we see the 10-year for a while. It looks like a ball bouncing down the sidewalk. You get this bounce, little smaller bounce, little smaller bounce, little smaller bounce. But it's still very short time frame controlled. Can't see any open interest this morning because of the error on the bulletin. But what are we looking at here? We're in the middle of the range. I'm going to be very cautious looking for opportunities today. Yesterday we had a pretty big upside move when rates cracked to the downside, but rates are holding up all right today. We may have some overnight shorts in this market. Settlements up here. All of the activity overnight is to the downside, but we're still in range and value. So I do not want to try and press anything very early in the 10-year today. All right, it's Friday. I know we all have things that we're looking forward to for the weekend and things to do. So I authorize you, if you make a little bit of money this morning, go ahead and take the rest of the day off and go do something fun. We deserve it. So roll over, just checking out the questions here. What is the name of the indicator that put the red line in the chart? I think that you're talking about is market profile. The red lines are the value high and low. Antonio, I would suggest coming to the Futures 101 today. I'm going to always have time at the end of the session today to answer questions. I can bring the chart up and we can take a look and get your question answered, questioned, get your question answered. And then, of course, there's always Wednesday, there's group coaching. There's lots of opportunities for us to talk. I just like to be done with the forecast before equities open. Okay, dead letter opener. It is my distinct pleasure. Have a great weekend yourself. When do I think the low summer volatility is still in play? And if so, when do you think things will return to normal? Well, define normal, but I think with the uncertainties that seem to keep piling up in the world, I see that coming into September and October, sometimes we see some pretty decent volatilities. It seems like the 87 crash was in October. The 21 crash was in October. I don't want any crashes, but I wouldn't mind seeing a little more volatility. But you've got all the participants back in the marketplace. As soon as rollover's over, I'm expecting to see some bigger ranges. We didn't, Salahadin. Our clearing firms did. They're the ones that took Morocco into the ineligible area. And I do apologize, but that's something that's beyond our control. I don't understand it, but there's a lot I don't understand. Antonio, okay, you got it. All right, let's take our deep breath. It's Friday. Stay humble, grateful, and creative in your trading today. No recap today, so I won't see it again till tomorrow, till Monday morning at 8 a.m. for the market forecast. And I will keep praying for all of us. Everybody, keep praying for world peace. And have a blessed day. Trade well. I'll see you in the pit.